Hello everyone, I'm back, I'm alive. Sorry it's been so long since I've made a video. Just been busy with work. We've actually recently been made redundant here at BT in Aberdeen. So I'm going to have a lot more time at present to make videos, and I will try to make them, because I know that there is a select few of you connoisseurs out there that enjoy these for whatever reason. So I'll try to make more as I can. I've fished out a 2v2 here that I thought showcased quite a lot of good stuff. So we'll talk about that. We'll break this game down, and we'll see what's going on with it. Okay, so it's a 2v2 between myself and Froside. Froside in the red there. I'm in the teal. Versus Team Mexico, I think. So you've got Cal in the yellow over here, and you've got X8, great player here. He's playing the Naboo in blue. So it's desert, 2v2, almost tends to end out as sort of like two separate 1v1s. But it is a team game, and you can influence and, you know, muck about with that. So speed things up a little bit in the early game. Just so we can sort of get into the action here, because this is quite a long game. Not a huge amount of food on this map, because we know from, you know, previous games that we've done, desert, you know, can range up to quite high amounts of food, where you've got like 4 Rontos and 16 nerfs, but on this one, just seems to be quite a few Banthas kicking about, and just the one due back, I think, to be lured into the base there. So we're playing Trade Federation here, so we get that little bit of an early advantage if we want to rush, you know, where things cost less carbon for us, just because we don't have to pay carbon for houses, because we originally start with 250 pop. And we're going to lure the Jew back over. The idea here is we'll eat all the nerfs, then we'll eat the Jew back, and then we'll get some farms, and it's just going to be like farms to sustain us into T2, and, you know, if we're going T3. So you got to put that early carbon into the farms at the start of the game here. Can't be any super early rushes. So everyone's just sort of playing it out the same. There's not really much room for RNG on this one, just because it's low counts of nerf and, you know, hunt. As long as you don't miss your one due back. But I don't think anyone's missed that. Well, as I say that, X8's not lured his, but he might lure it over with these guys. He's just very early into his farms. I wouldn't really fault him. He's always been very consistently good. Played a lot of 1v1s versus this guy. He was always great. He was just a really great person to play, to be honest, because he was very uniform in what he did, and he did it consistently well. So farm's going down. Fro is the rebel, so he's going to get that farm bonus as well, which will really help him out here on a map like this, where you've got to farm quite early. So he should be taking home, you know, a bit extra food there. Don't know what's going on here in Camp Cal. These guys are having a bit of a nightmare. This boy's working diligently, but he's got 4 supervisors just overseeing things for him now. I wonder how long this will be ongoing for. Maybe they're just waiting on equipment. Like, I've seen one of them get back to work there, but these two lads are just seeing things through. Maybe it's one advisor, one supervisor per 6. Oh, there we go. They're getting involved now. So farms are coming down. I'm not seeing any sort of divergence people's builds yet to indicate what they might be doing. Oh, Throws missed his bloody due back. Thanks. And a Bantha. Oof. Thank God he's bloody rebels. He's probably still ahead knowing rebels, but oh, I'm going on to the ore here. That's interesting. We're quite close as well, but we're going on to ore. This would make me think that they're not going to be rushing. I absolutely don't think they'll be doing a turret rush. Some troop center out of Cal here. Power core first out of Fro. What the fuck? Troop center already out of X8. Interesting. Yeah, definitely going for a T3 here. So we can't wall off with prefab shelters. I do question this a little bit out of myself because we can't put prefab shelters down. These have only got 250 health, you know, whereas like prefab shelter, how much have they got? Like 800? Yeah, 800 for just a bit more investment. It's probably really the same investment when you think about the blocks. But either way, quite a short distance. That's a really good response because he scouted this out of me. He can see that, you know, things are not to plan. It's not like I'm rushing him back, so he's thrown down the animal nursery because he's not putting any nerfs into this. He's eaten them all. But you can see this, and you can see he's rallied 4 workers onto Nova as well, so it's a great response from him. He is committed to the second troop centre though. I think he's maybe just going to try and fire it. He's probably struggling a little bit for food though, with how many farms he's got. I don't think the second one was necessary. I think that would have been better spent being 3 more farms here, because he's going to struggle just a little bit. But maybe he thinks he can just fire out a lot of Mounties. We'll see. These guys are taking the piss where they're going. So he's running in here with the Mounties. We seem to know what's going on, and I really like what we've done here. Not committed to 2 turrets. Don't really need to against the Mounties here. Everything's quite well covered. This covers our carbon completely. The same with the wall. Covers this top part of our food, and it covers our ore as well, so it's pretty decent. Workers are spazzing out a bit. But we've got room for a power core here as well. So this is a really efficient defensive structure that we've got going on here. See that Fro's just in his own wee world here. I imagine he's made troopers. Or making troopers. I think he might be hiding them in the troop centres, because I don't see them out on the map. You can see that Cal's got quite a lot here. Both these players are kind of just like going through the motions. It doesn't seem to be sort of any aggression out of them just now. Whereas us and XA are having this sort of little war now. So we're going to fire out strike mechs because we've hit T3. And this is a beautiful response from him, because this is just going to disrupt our ability to throw out strike mechs, and it's going to take us out of this carbon. But we do have a spot here that we can just go to, and this kind of stuff is a good response to people T3ing, because it always creates a threat that's very difficult to deal with, because you need to get a bomber out, or you need to manage to get workers over there to bash it down, or you need a pummel or artillery. So all of that requires a bit of an investment economically from your opponent, whereas you're trying to maintain yourself, you know, as being the rusher, as keeping them under aggression there and dealing with things in their base, rather than sending their units over to deal with, you know, you and put some counter pressure on you, kill some workers. Because he's gone Mounties as well, we're not going to be able to just like throw out a couple of strikes and just go and attack him with them, because they'll just get overwhelmed. So we need to get a critical mass of strike mechs up before we can counter that unit composition. So that in itself keeps him being safe here. I still don't see anything out of these two. Like they're very passive. It's almost the antithesis of what we've got going on here, where it's just aggression, aggression, aggression. So we did move our workers over here. If he was doing a trooper sort of rush rather than a Mountie one, you know, he could have his units sort of running in here, catching these unaware workers and, you know, getting some economic damage. Especially if he had to just sack them, because they're just not going to do anything against strikes. So he's going to have to have thrown out some grenades as well. So he's got grenades and Mounties. So together it can be quite potent. And you know, this game has a tendency to naturally lag as well, which can absolutely stutter the hell out of strike mechs. The Trade Federation ones are a little bit better because they just don't seem to have any sort of attacking animation. It's just like instant, stop, shoot, instant. But they did take a big grenade hit there, and another one, like 3 of them are going to die. So they need to just retreat out. So we've not been able to pressure him. He's got a very good base as well. You see it's in a big oval sort of shape. He's just got the sort of 2 points he needs to defend. So, and it's just run up and down to defend. I'm going very all out here with strike mechs. Not really done much with her economy. So we're really going to need to do a lot of damage to properly get a return on this investment in strike mechs. But what they do ensure is that we don't die, you know, if he sent his Mounties over. But it looks like he's focused on his economy now, so the opposite of what we're doing, whereas we're focusing on our military. So because we can't do any damage to him, this is a team game, not just two 1v1s. We're going to try and do some damage here to the other wing, to Cal. The problem is he's just not moved his units out at all, he's just sitting around. If he had run in at the same sort of time and reinforced this, we could get a little bit more damage done. So he's arriving a bit later. Definitely a difficult position here for Cal, for him to defend this properly. He does have these 3 turrets, but they don't really cover much. I don't know why he's got 3 so close together. It'd be really nice if one was out here with his Nova or his ore, just to sort of extend the defensive areas of his base. You can see that Fro's upgraded his troopers, and he's running in there. The heavy troopers with the range. It's very difficult for him to just do anything with it though. Takes him off of his farms for quite a bit, and he keeps him off his ore and his Nova. But if he put a forward behind this player's dead. That's the kind of... That would be a really great move here, if he had a forward with this. Because he's got a tendency to want to get a fort anyway, because he's playing Rebel Alliance. Because they get those, you know, broken speeder units out. But he's not gone for that, and he's decided, okay, we're gonna double X8 here, which is an okay move. But X8 is just, he's too big brain for us. He's already got air out, and air is the one unit he could defend this army with basically losing nothing. He won't lose anything other than just a couple of workers here. The air will kill all these troopers and just eliminate that threat. And he's not going to replicate, he's not going to rebuild these. So he's not really got any pressure anymore to put onto Cal. So this is definitely not something that we should have really done here. We're sort of just throwing ourselves against a very defensive player who is slowly edging ahead of us in economy. Because of this, because we're just throwing things away, trying to do damage, and we're not really getting much damage out of it. And these resources could be better allocated into more infrastructure at home, more command centers, which we are throwing down while we're doing this pressure. But it's not quick enough. We're not investing enough. And the problem is here, now that he's done this tech switch into air, he can lay the pressure back on us. And it's going to force Fro here to go into air as well, whereas he probably should be just getting more command centers out, like his opponent Cal here. So now in terms of this game and the tempo, we don't have any pressure that we can really put on our opponents anymore. Still making a lot of strike mechs. I don't really like this, because this is almost really all in. So he built another mech factory as well. It just seems very, very all in to go this heavy on the strikes just now. Especially while we're only on 2 command centers. If we were on like 4 or 5 command centers, then I think it would be okay. But we spent a lot of time just running around with strikes already. Like a lot of the game. And we should almost have to be playing catch up just now in terms of worker count, command centers. So we'd need to do a hell of a lot of damage. I think it's a bit of a fallacy at this point, because of the pressure that we put onto Cal, and that we managed to do to X8 before as well, and how turtleish we think he's sort of like, it's like we smell blood in the water, like we can absolutely outright kill one of these players just with this amount of strikes in this air. And that's what we're looking to try and do here. We do have upgrades on them, which means that like 1 or 2 mech destroyers, like especially with no upgrades, aren't going to cut it. These could just shoot them and it, make them explode. You do see as a smart move here out of Cal. He's putting the pressure onto his opponent now, and he's a little bit tasked because he's got to build air and worry about it over here, and support me in that way. So this force, could do a bit of damage here. Are getting a decent amount of workers here, stopping him expand out. You know, he looks a lot worse off than he actually is. Well, here comes this force. It's catching him, trying to put down a command center around his fort, which is really unfortunate for him. I mean, his air would just counter this. And if he had speeders out already, he would absolutely clean up the entire force. He's probably going to want to pull back there, because you don't want fighters just killing your troopers for free. Absolutely losing all of that. This should really be like a snap decision from him to just forward his opponent though, like, because he's lost so much. I think everyone in this game is quite close, like, in terms of like how good they are at the game. Like mechanically, this game just seems to come down to decision making, and not capitalizing on mistakes properly. Like, this should be built here, basically. He shouldn't be able to get this up, because he has no units right now, really. He should be on top of him, because he's got massive unit superiority here. And he's got like the better technology as well. He's got the air out as well. It's like he has to. The only way he can deal with air right now is with anti-air troopers and turrets. And he can't cover this area. If he loses this Nova, right? And he really needs Nova, because, you know, that's what Wookiees are all about, is getting those artillery out. We are trying to just sort of boom back into the game. We've not done the damage that we really wanted. You can see X8's losing air here, which is really bad for him, because it's almost contesting what he could do on the other side of the map with his air, because he's not going to have a superior count. But he is just booming away here. He's quite fine, he's quite stable. But Cal also doing the same. But he's just, yeah, he's got no units just now, and whereas Fro's got loads of units. But it's such a tentative sort of forward base. It's his own base. It's just his defensive position. It's almost like he's just waiting for them to have a no man's land, when he could just show up and build a no man's land in his own bloody base. It lacks that sort of killer instinct now. I mean, look at the score as well. Look how ahead Fro is of everyone just now, and just not really doing anything with it. He's still never eaten that Jew back. You can see he's gone for heavy weapons factory. I don't really like this too much out of rebels when you don't have a forward on someone. Like, that should be a killing blow, really. You know, throwing in the ability to kill buildings. Not something that you just make and roll up. Running around with strikes, just try to get damage, because we need to get as much damage out of these as we can, just to break even really on the investment, which I don't think we will do. So these guys sort of dipping their toes in the water a little bit and just sort of trading 1 or 2 units, but not wanting to commit to a fight, which I just think is really silly. I feel like the rebel player's on a timer as well in this instance, especially if they're going to go like this. They're going to build armies and they're going to sit under shields, because Wookiees have the better tech. They have the better artillery, and most of what those fights come down to is artillery. I think they do have even the better mech destroyers as well, really. At least in terms of cost effectiveness. Definitely got the stronger troopers. I think Fro's mistake here, he doesn't have the shield either. His Cal's been very clever and just gotten the shield. So he's got a heavy mech destroyer, and he's just going to patrol in with his artillery. It's a little bit arrogant. This is not really much micro here, it's just almost a simulation, whether he wins this or not. You can see that X8 has gone for T4 air, which is quite good, because everyone's a bit behind in the tech, so I mean, I'm just trying to boom rapidly. I'm not even T4, I don't think. I'm not close to it, you know. This is traded armies. He's lost the meat of his army here, and he's just got the artillery out, so he's gonna take down the shield, but like, that's just 250 ore. You've lost your entire army here. You're gonna lose all these artillery because they're just not trading very well. They're not that strong. You know, it's a basic entry T3 level unit. It doesn't have any tech for them. And he was T4 as well. Like, if he'd just built cannons and then threw out, like, invested the rest of it into troopers and mechs, he'd take this down. It's not the correct way to play rebels here. The speeders coming out super late at this point, like, they would have been bloody great early. We're in a constant state of distress because there's T4A running around and we've just got anti-air turrets. Try to boom, try to get a spaceport up and stuff. But we've almost just hamstringed ourselves in this game because of all the strike mechs. And there's not really any other tech, nothing else that we can really do. And for us to contribute like a proper mech army, we need to get a boom out, we need to get the workers out, which is very tricky when you're constantly being harassed. So you can see that he's gotten a shield up now, but he's just got no army. And to be honest, if Cal just walks in, you'll kill him. Must be working very hard at home, expanding his economy. He's not pushing it. Got the assault mech. Assault mech's good here, especially against these trash mechs. There's just so many heavy mechs versus so few, and the only way you could counter these really with what he's got is his speeders, but nothing you can really do here. There's Fro saying that he's got no carbon. Well, yeah, that's pretty inefficient. Certainly got a lot of workers on it, but units just suck. His production is even worse, really. Just 3 mech factories sort of scattered around, and he's away to lose half his production here. Oh, Crusaders have just wiped out like half our army there. They're so strong. Even with quite a lot of upgrades in these strike mechs, these guys are getting work done. You can see that quite a lot of forts out of X8 here. You see how he's forwarded now as well, because he's got the pressure on. He's taken us off of this Nova. It's a really good move. God, they don't even have much upgrades, they're just so bloody strong. Great unit. My favourite unit, I think. So again, like, these guys at times almost refuse to kill one another when they can. Fort scary. Does he not have a fort? Really? He should have some cannons out. Fucking X8 needs to come over and build him a fort. Probably build him some cannons. Just to get him to take the thing down. But they've definitely won this side. I don't think there's... We can boom behind this and stuff, right? And I think we are doing quite a good job here. Like, we've still got a lot of workers and stuff, and we can sort of hold this position for now. Because he's not like the strongest against strike mechs. But he's just going to get absolutely trounced here. And once he's dead, it's just 2v1. We're not going to be able to handle that. Because we are behind both players in terms of economy and tech. Rebels are tricky to play in the late game. Because you get hamstringed into just going like T4 air and stuff and make trooper, but it's not all there is to it. Send an air round to support it. The Crusaders are really great when they get on top of him. And he's pushing with some why pummels? You're T4! More cannons! The most senseless building of pummels I've ever seen. I like this, the pummels and the Crusaders together. Super tanky boys. Takes so long for the strike skill. I've hit heavy strikes there, they will be a lot better. Fort's finally dead here. Finally gone down. There's nothing really to protect these units now. I love all these anti-air troopers. I'm pretty sure he's got 3 heavy weapons factories, so he could just make AA mobiles. I hope they've got a lot of armor or something. So we're kind of just stuck in our base defending. Do you see that he's thrown his Crusaders over to the other side? Because there's blood in the water absolutely here in Fro's base. He says, I'm dying here. You certainly are. Send our strikes over to go and help as well. We've followed our guy over. We've done what we can. Done our job there. But he doesn't really have anything. And all these units counter us. So all we can do here is help kill the Crusaders. Yeah, I think that's absolutely the end there. Another fort in our base. It's cutting us off. There's not really, you know, much to go on, really. You see it's mechanically getting to us as well, because we're not replacing a lot of the farms, lots of idols kicking about. We're just sort of stuck making strike mechs. I think if X8 just threw down a few mech factories and just made mech destroyers, he'd walk through. Mech destroyer plus Crusaders like really bloody strong together. So I think Thro's just sort of whinging at this point. He's a little bit stunned that he's lost. But we kind of broke down why he's lost. So it's not a mystery to us. He's throwing out some Jedi and stuff, but it just doesn't help here. Just incorrect units and resource allocation, really. When he was in such a strong, you know, dominating position before. Just kind of thrown it. But, you know, throwing things is what I would expect from Team GB here. Me and Fro, because I think there were times we were definitely ahead, but it's all slipped away. I'm impressed I've still got an economy. I don't know if that's because X8 is just being merciful by not making mech destroyers though. I think we're just still feeling that economic recession when we went full Stalin and just went, you know what, we're building strike mechs for 100 years. Only strike mechs. Instead of command centers. It's like a little bit of a counter push, you know. He's repaired himself a little bit and thrown out some units. There's some trade going on, but it's not the best trade. It's not the longest distance. Because there's still really good units against troopers and strikes here. Oh, he's not going to take that position back. And game's just sort of broken down now. I don't think there's really a way out for the two of us here. I mean, that's quite a long game. It's only natural that, you know, a lot of the times that, you know, people would drop. And our friends Cal and X8 there are playing from the old Latin America, and we know what their ISPs are like. I think it's just one guy that owns all the internet there, and it's never been the best. So it's probably went to be like a remake of the game. I think we might have remade it, but I don't see us winning that. Not a chance in hell. I think they've definitely played better than we have there and made better decisions at points, so I think I'll call it there. If there's anything that you would like to see, you know, from the channel, please please leave a comment. And as I said, I'll try and make a bit more videos, and I hope you've enjoyed this one today, where we've tried to break this down as analytically as we can. So as always, like, comment and subscribe. Let me know how things are going and what you would like to see from the channel. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.